Dr. Bolden, thank you for coming on STEM Spark, Think STEM Career Podcast. How have you been?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me. So I'm looking forward to this wonderful conversation that's very much needed. So I'm doing well.
Excellent. Dr. Bolden, can you please tell us about yourself?
Okay, my background is molecular cell and physiology, and that's really where I focus. I started out as a supervisor, and so because of my background, I was able to cover an array of different science courses that required me to actually work with faculty. Also, I had the bonus of teaching. I was managing the lab, and so there was a whole lot involved in that. And so through that experience, I ended up forming my own program called Laboratorium. And the reason why I formed that organization is because what I found is that a lot of people that look like me, who felt very uncomfortable in the science realm, were gravitating towards me. So I thought these were college students. And usually, if you have college students, they're not going to change their path, they're already committed. So I thought if I could introduce STEM content at an early age, as young as 5 years, I could give them a robust foundation and also build their confidence, because that's what I saw. There was a lack of confidence. So I've had the opportunity to work with youth as young as 5 to give them that foundation. And I also work with college students. I actually work at a college, so I'm working with college students, but I also understand that it's very difficult to change their mind frame when it gets to that point. That's unusual.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. I am fired up because you and I know that in our community, there is a low representation of people that look like you and I in the STEAM and STEM field. Even though now we see a gradual increase in the representation of women, but there are still low representation of girls, young girls, women that look like you and I in this field. And to see someone with your caliber, a professor that taking the time to invest in our community to build the future of our kids is very inspiring. This is one of the reasons why I really wanted to take the time to talk with you so that others can glean from your work and also be inspired to see that, look, you're doing it, so they also can do it. I have a question for you. This is, I guess you can look at it as I like to look at it as an icebreaker. If you were to meet someone, if and somebody asks you if there's someone that you would like to meet, who will that person be and why?
Yeah, I just like his mindset. I think it's unfortunate that it's not a female. I'm sure there may be some out there, but very few. But
Yeah.
however, I just like the fact that he doesn't mind interjecting into conversations. And I think he has a vast amount of knowledge. And I think I can learn a lot from him. So that's the person I would like to sit down and have a conversation with.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, indeed, he's a phenomenal, right? We're very proud of him for the work that he does in science and trying to explain astrophysics. That can
Exactly.
be complicated for quite a lot of us. I think his presence inspires, will inspire the next generation of our people to go into space technology, right?
Exactly.
Especially as our country is making every effort to land boots on the moon and also Mars. I think we need to be part of that conversation. Uh,
Absolutely.
so he's an inspiration indeed. I posted a video on LinkedIn. Neil deGrasse Tyson responding to being mentioned on a podcast by Terrence Howard. I think they bring a lot to the table. They put our community in a very good highlight. Terrence Howard is a brilliant actor. One of the things that people don't know is that he has a science background. He actually studied chemical engineering. He's also into energy. He has a lot of other ideas. But I guess the beef between the two of them is that Terrence claimed that how Tyson did not really respond to his request to critique his work. But Dyson came back and said, yes, I did. And he provided the evidence. But one of the things that I love about Tyson's video post is that he actually talked about the importance of peer review. As you and I know, peer review is one of the cornerstone of science. This is what makes our science work, right? This is what
Absolutely.
establishes credibility. So
Yes.
I will encourage everyone that has not seen that video post, please check it out. It's on LinkedIn. I've posted out there and I've made my little comment. I'm really proud of the fact that he talked about peer review. I believe as educators, we need to impress upon our students the importance of peer review. What's your
Yeah,
take?
I definitely think that we can't go around making assumptions. You must have peer reviews. For example, there was someone I know that was claiming that if you eat a particular diet based on your blood type, that it will provide you with benefits. I also purchased the book that makes these claims, and what I realized is that this book was actually promoting the Mediterranean diet. So the truth is that there is research to support that the Mediterranean diet can have health benefits, and that it doesn't have anything to do with your blood type. But so it's not a good idea to go out and make these assumptions. You definitely need to have. That's how you back science. That's how you have credibility, like you said, to make sure that this your research is peer reviewed, and so that's what gives us that credibility. So I think that's extremely important when it comes to science.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up because I think I like Mediterranean food myself. So I don't know about the blood type, but now you're making me hungry. Maybe after this podcast, that I'm going to go to probably carve out. So,
you know,
I,
and I'll be honest with you, I follow the Mediterranean lifestyle as well. And when it comes to
nice,
nutrition. So yeah,
nice, good. Now maybe they need to give us something because for mentioning or uplifting Mediterranean food.
the research is there. The research is there.
That's good. Oh my
Yeah.
God! Now you just uplifted that industry. That's all good. That's all good. All right. So if I can ask you, what sparked your interest in STEM? Oh, yeah, what sparked your interest?
Okay, I can tell you in K2, there was nothing that sparked my interest in STEM. There was nothing there. I have very little recollection of science, period. I was an older student, so I call myself a late bloomer. And I was already married, had children, and everything when I returned to school. And so what
Wow.
happened was there were actually teachers that
Yes.
saw this gift in me. And then I started developing this ravenous appetite to learn more. And especially when I started going for my master's, I
Yes.
had the opportunity to pick and choose the classes that I wanted to take. So I was able to explore a vast amount of science courses. And it was like an abyss for me. It's like I could never fill that hole. And so that's how I landed there. So I really like to say that science actually found me. And then so we have this beautiful relationship.
Wow. To hear you say that science found you, and I know science, there's a lot of maths in it. Why weren't you discovered? Can you share your experience, please?
Yeah, I can say this that I like trying to figure things out.
Okay.
And I think that when you do math, it forces you to think critically and to analyze things. And I really enjoy doing that. And I really believe that people don't give it a chance. I think, and you have to inculcate this into youth when they're really young, and so that they can feel confident with it because it is a challenge, but life is a challenge. You're not going to go through life and everything's going to be easy. But I really believe that if you can, especially in our communities, if you can give them this exposure early, and also they need to and build their confidence and give them that robust foundation, I think they'll have a better take on it. And I know that will work because that's what happened with my program. I have a few females who are actually who one of them is getting her degree in some type of biology, and then the other one, she is pursuing science. So I know that it works, and it's because I built that confidence and I work with them. I really believe it's because of the fact that I really enjoy figuring it out. And that is my phrase that I use for my college students. I say, you have to figure it out. And especially now. See, years ago, you can get away with doing the same thing for 30 years. That doesn't apply today. Today, you have to be able to pivot almost like every 2 years. Things are changing so rapidly.
Yes.
So whether you want to get into that mindset or not, you really don't have a choice.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. I like the idea you have to go get it. You have to be
Absolutely.
ready to also pivot. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, you also mentioned earlier, science found you. You were married, you had children. That could have been a barrier for you. How did you overcome that? How didn't that become a barrier for you?
Yeah, I can say that I felt like this. Once all my children were in school, I decided to go back to school and complete my education. And then I had a supportive, that was another thing. But and then also those professors that who saw this gift in me, who gave me awards. I even had the opportunity I did so well on my GRE. Let me just say, initially, I did not do well on my GRE because I'm not going to say I wasn't a good test taker. I
Yeah.
just didn't know. So when I took it again, I did so well. The college offered me an opportunity to actually teach anatomy and physiology. Who would have ever thought? And that gave me confidence, and that also gave me experience to prepare me for what was going to come next. And that's why I say when I hear people say they're not a good test taker, you have to know how to prepare. And let me tell you something. I have a formula that can help students pass those exams, and I know it works because I had two students just a year ago who
Yes.
I gave them the formula. I worked with them, and both of them got over 90%, and they're going into a nursing program. They get an
Wow.
opportunity to select. Yeah, so I know because at first, when I took the GRE, I was basically memorizing. So I said, no, I need to learn the material. So I figured
Yes.
out a strategy, and it worked. It
Wow.
worked.
Can you, for those of you, for those parents that really want to know about your program, what is the name of your program? Usually I leave it to the end. I'm going to put it also as a reference later. But if
Well,
you want to mention, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's biological laboratory. I don't work directly with youth anymore. What I
Okay.
do is I help sponsor other programs because
Okay.
I've been in that. I was doing that for 10 years. So what I do is more philanthropic, where
Okay.
I'm actually helping someone who you may be familiar with. I don't want to mention his name. I don't know if he's comfortable with that, but
Okay.
I'm helping to get him established because I believe in what he's doing. So I'm helping others as a
Okay.
consulting and advisor, as well as a philanthropist to help them get started. So I'm doing that type of stuff now in that area.
Excellent. I remember taking my GRE. Oh my God. The first time I did it, oh my goodness, I
Yes.
really struggled. My
Yeah.
score was not really good,
Right.
but my parents helped me invest in Kaplan. Um,
Okay. Familiar.
so was it Kaplan or Princeton? I think it's so I don't want to age myself, but
Right. Right. I get it. Mhm.
but but I took one of those tutoring programs,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that literally helped my test taking. It boosted my score, and I was able to use that to apply to graduate school. But the biggest challenge, though, it's for students that whose parents are not wealthy enough, parents do not have the resources to enroll them in this type of programs. Any
Yeah.
recommendation for them?
Oh, absolutely. Because the resources are available for free. All you really need, based on how I do it, all you need is time.
Okay.
And you have to be able to it's about time management and
Okay.
scheduling yourself to review the material
Yeah.
as I would tell you to do it. So it does not require any type of expense at all. It's
Yeah.
just time.
Okay.
Hmm.
I think I will agree with you. I used to spend a lot of my times in the Barnes and Nobles about 20 years ago. They have a lot of prep course books, GRE,
Exactly.
and I study that and I study that and I study that. I think the
Yes.
combination of that and the tutoring really helped me
Yeah.
quite a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, but
And let me just say that you
yes.
don't have to be, let me just tell you, all of those tests are basically the same: SAT, ACT, GRE, and then the one that you take to get into the nursing program. I can't remember the name of the T's. Okay.
Mhm.
Let me just
Yes.
tell you, they're all the same. So you can use all of those books because you're
Wow.
getting different perspectives. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? And you're
Yes. Yes.
learning the material. So you
Mhm.
don't have to just stick with GREs. I do recommend if you're going for the GRE, you get old ones, new ones, and you get SAT books. It's all set up the same,
Yeah.
but it's introducing it to you from different perspectives. That way you learn the material as opposed to memorizing it.
One of the things that you and I talked about earlier is the AI. It really make things much easier. Remember when we used to use index cards?
Yes, I do. I do. Yes, yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mhm.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
And then Quizlets came, and now forget Quizlet. What's Quizlet? Now you
Yeah.
can write,
Yeah.
up your stuff by using
Right.
AI, especially with Khan Academy. that can help students. Now I'm pitching for Can. Unbelievable. You need to pay me.
But they are good. Let's face it, we're
Yeah.
mentioning some good resources. Seriously, yeah.
So you can personalize, and for teachers, they can personalize their teaching for students, individual students, and parents can also do the same. So those are ways that are access to tutorials that can help. And God knows there's so much online now
Yeah.
that there is no excuse whatsoever in our community to say, I can't really do it. Yes, you can,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, that's
Yes, you
right.
can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But don't take my word for it. Take it from Dr. Bolden.
No, we both have credibility.
Oh, all right. So the next question actually comes on closing the gender gaps in STEM. So we know there has been progress in women participation and representation in the STEM field, but there's still a ways to go. In what area do you see women making significant stride? And how do we close the gender gap?
I definitely see them making significant stride in the biological sciences, and the reason why I think that you see growth there is because there's so many pathways that you can take if you have that particular degree. You can go into microbiology, you can go into anatomy and physiology. Some people get that degree because they want to go into medicine or something like that. And I also think that the biological sciences, I think it's relatable.
Hmm.
I think that when you think about anatomy and physiology, that's dealing with your body. You think
Yes.
about microbiology, you think about microbes, microorganisms, and stuff like that. So I think that it's not so much that it's easier. I think that one reason, like I had mentioned before, is that you can explore different pathways, and it can also serve to get you into medicine. And I also think it's relatable. I really
Yeah.
do. So I
Yeah.
think that's a part of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that. Is this very similar to going into healthcare? Because our people are into service oriented workforce, and nursing seems to be service oriented.
Let me just say this. When I teach my anatomy and physiology students, some of them, they have told me that the reason why they're pursuing healthcare is because they may have a family member that has an ailment or had an ailment and they wanted to learn more about it. That was definitely one reason. Another reason is because they felt they would make more money. They said that, and it is above minimum wage. You can do pretty well in those fields. But so I really believe that, from based on what they have told me, that those are some of the reasons as to why they are pursuing that type of degree. Now, you mentioned something about the gap. What was that question about the
Yeah,
gap?
yeah, closing the gaps, gender gaps in STEM. What other areas do you think there needs to be more efforts to close the gender gaps? Are there any
Well,
other areas?
oh, definitely. There's a vast amount of areas. You think about
Okay.
aerospace, that's a
Okay.
huge one. That
Okay.
there's also
Yeah.
computer science. Because to me, I'm gonna be honest with you, when we talk about STEM, technology is the foundation now.
Mm.
To me,
Yes. Yes.
you must know technology. I don't care what field you're in. And then you also have civil engineering.
Yeah.
So there are many areas. I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact the reason why we don't see representation is because you will find that most people who pursue STEM, okay, they have a parent that's
Mm.
already in the STEM field. So they are exposed to it. So we don't have the exposure. And then if you don't have someone like who I came across, people who told me, okay, we believe in you, you can do this, you're good at what you do, then it was hard for them to imagine that they can be in that space. And then especially if you don't see that representation, someone that looks like you or close to you. So you're going to have, and that's why you're going to continue to have that unless you have, and also the parents. We
Yes.
need parents to be informed so that they can say, let me try this. Okay,
Mm.
you may not want to do it, but let's at least try it.
Yeah.
Because there are programs out there that are actually free that are given this type of exposure. But we need those parents to get those children there. Or you need, if you don't have a parent to do it, maybe you have some type of counselor at school. They need to be promoting that to their students,
Mm.
especially just to give them the opportunity to be exposed to it. Because when people saw what I was doing, people who I grew up with, they were like, "Wow, I feel like I missed my calling because we just weren't exposed to it."
Mm.
You'd be surprised how many people could actually do these things. It is hard work, but like I said, life is hard.
Yeah.
However, but if you don't know anything about it, you don't know it exists. So how would you know to pursue it?
That is true. You mentioned parents. That's a really great point. But how do we get the parents to see the value in this? How do we do
And
that?
that's why I said if you can't get to the parents, you have to hope that the counselors, there has to be somebody that can be this vehicle to help get these children in. And let me tell you, the teachers are the ones who have access to these children.
Mm.
And my thing is they may have to promote it. Teaching is it's a hard job. A
Yeah.
lot of people take that for granted. You're dealing with a lot of students, but there's a lot of information that's filtered down. I know that there are colleges that let schools know about different programs, and they're not always a fee for those programs. And even if there is, they have a sliding fee scale or something where they could pay a nominal fee. But it's important that teachers, you have to seek out and find out what's available and offer it to your students. And hopefully you can stimulate some type of interest or spark interest in that student.
Mm. I like the fact that you're connecting teachers and parents. I think that collaboration between teachers and parents could be a powerful one because a lot of times probably the parents are not aware. So
Yeah,
what is the way, what is the most easiest way for the policymakers or to people that are trying to bring about change in STEM to reach parents, to change parents' mind? Going to them directly, it's good, but it's really hard. But
yes,
I think that going through the school, through the teachers,
yeah,
and making sure that teachers have a buy-in and
yeah,
the counselors have a buy-in. But again, there could be, this is a place whereby there could be a naysayers, whereby they say STEM is not the only thing. Guess what? STEM is connected to so many. That's
absolutely,
why we call it STEAM, right?
absolutely,
So I think that is a really very good point. I think people in power, people in places to make policy change, I think they need to pay attention to what you're saying, that the way to really get to parents is through the counselors, through the teachers. When the administrators emphasize that, and also it comes from the top. One of the
yeah,
things that I have also noticed in my view is that I've only had, since I've been teaching 20 years, I've only had one administrator, maybe now the second administrator that I have, my current administrator, that really see the value of STEM, that pushes STEM, and maybe because I'm in a CTE school too, right? But
yeah,
I'm not trying to put the other principal administrators down, but there has to be someone that sees the importance of STEM and pushes STEAM, right? When you
yeah,
push those initiatives, then there's going to be a sea change. But when the administrator on the top doesn't see the importance, doesn't of STEAM, doesn't push the STEAM initiative within his school or her school, then the students and the teachers will not even know that this is a call to action. This is what
yeah,
we need to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
So I like that point, and I hope that somebody that is listening heard you on that because I think that's a very critical point. You want to say something?
Yeah, yeah, I do, because I'm really surprised that there's this disconnect that people don't see the value in STEM because science is about everything. And then you're talking about technology, that is the foundation of society now. You have to have some type of tech experience. That's no getting away from that. Engineering is how you create things, okay? And then math, you're talking about finances. Now I'm seeing a big push towards schools implementing finances. So I think that is a good thing. So I think that for some reason it sounded foreign to people, but it's basically all incorporated into society. I think so. I don't know where that misunderstanding came. I'm not clear on that.
Thank you so much for that point. The next question is how can we continue to support and encourage more women to pursue and thrive in traditional male-dominated STEM field? So do you want to touch upon that? I think we've touched upon it a little bit, but
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely think you need representation. I definitely think people need to actually see themselves. I think that
Yes.
early exposure. I really think that, especially in our communities, and like I said, I was working with youth as young as 5, and I was giving them authentic STEM applications so that they could see what this was really about. I don't think you're just going to have exposure is a huge thing. I try to mentor. You need mentors. I try to mentor individuals. I encourage people to pursue the field. I give them the real facts about it, and I also let them know the truth about it as well. Because I came across a college student one time that told me that she had an internship and it was male dominated and they pushed her out. And that's because she didn't have that strength. And I think that's because she was exposed later. She's doing much better now, but she didn't have anyone to talk to. So you need to find someone who can actually mentor you and assist you through these challenges, because I had those challenges as well. I had situations where, I don't know, it was crazy, but I think because I was a more mature student. But if you think about somebody who's 22, 25 coming in, that could be a little difficult for them. And I get it, because you don't have the tools to deal with that. And you probably have not ever encountered that before. So that could be very intimidating. However, see, I was a much more mature student. So I was able to deal with those situations. They still caught me off guard, but I felt very confident in my knowledge. So it's, yeah, so it's just not an easy thing, but those are some of the things you definitely need to seek out someone who could help you through those things. Yeah.